Hey, in this video, I'm going to break down what leadership means, how it differs from management, and build a basis for further videos on the topic. This will be one you'll probably want to refer back to in the future. Let's get started. So, how do we define leadership? I define leadership as helping people get somewhere important together as easy as possible while knowing it won't be easy. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, let's start with what it doesn't mean. When I say helping people, I don't mean doing someone's work for them or treating everyone in the same quote unquote nice way. What I do mean is seeing each individual and figuring out how you can have the biggest positive impact on them, which, by the way, includes checking in with them that you're correct in your assessment and that they do want your help in that way. So, in other words, figuring out what each individual member of your team needs and seeing how you can help them grow in that way. That could be doing things for them. That could also just be asking them questions, finding them opportunities, or just listening. It's going to be different for everybody. Now, how about the getting somewhere important part? What does that mean? You need to establish some sort of vision of the future as a leader. This is usually aligned with your organization's mission, but it needs to be stated in a way that makes sense and is attainable for your team. This way, your teammates can see themselves in the success and a direct path to how they contributed to it. In other words, if you say, our mission is to make $1 trillion, well, people on your team might have no idea how they can contribute to doing that. Now, that still could be a great goal for your massive company that you work for, but you need to translate that down to something that your team can do something about. It needs to be actionable. And at certain points, you need to be able to look back and see, hey, are we contributing to this in a meaningful way? If the goal is so big that you can't see milestones on the way to it, it can be very hard to keep momentum and stay motivated. I also threw in the word together. Meeting your goals is not more important than growing together as a team. I will say that again. Meeting your goals is not more important than growing together as a team. This has to be done in tandem. In other words, both are important. Obviously, meeting your goals is important. But if you meet your goals at the expense of your team, in other words, hey, we reached our goal and everyone quit, or we all hate each other, or we're all extremely unhappy, we don't want to work here anymore, then you haven't met your goals in a sustainable way. And frankly, you may have helped the company in the short term, but probably hurt the company in the long term, and certainly hurt everyone on the team in both the short term and maybe the long term, depending on their situation. Easy as possible. This one I know is probably making some of you feel uneasy or maybe even upset at me. Do not fall into the trap of making the journey harder than it already is going to be. Just because you had to walk uphill in the snow both ways when you were a kid doesn't mean your kids should also. Just because you had to learn by making a devastating mistake doesn't mean you need to stand by and watch as your people make that exact same mistake. Trust me, they will find new mistakes to make. If you're setting out for a 30-mile hike, do you leave your water and change of socks at home? No. Why would you make something more difficult than it's already going to be? Make the job as easy as possible for yourself and for everyone on your team and for your boss and everyone else you interact with that you have any influence over. If you're headed somewhere worthwhile, the journey is going to be hard enough as it is. Finally, let's talk about leadership versus management. You may have heard the phrase, lead people, manage work. What does it mean? It means work items are to be managed and people are to be led, inspired, motivated. For example, let's think about some type of work items that we would manage. Tasks can be tracked, status is reported, tools are employed, dollars are invested. Work, and more broadly speaking, things and concepts, can be moved around and treated as the inanimate objects they are. Projects can be canceled, for example. Now, on the other hand, people need to be led. So taking that example, a project can be canceled. But do you want to cancel one of your people? That's probably not the best idea. If you want the best out of your people, you need to give them your best. That means treating them like the individuals that they are. Generally speaking, people are looking for autonomy, mastery, and purpose in their work. And these are the three things that you can help with in your leadership. If you haven't heard of that concept before, Daniel Pink wrote an entire book on this subject called Drive, which I'd highly recommend. So remember, leadership is inspiring people toward a goal, and management is what is done to work items and other inanimate objects, resources. Just like it would be ridiculous to try to inspire a desk to be more sturdy, it's equally ridiculous to move a person around without any concern for their desires. Now you might say, does this mean I have to get everyone's approval to do anything? What if I actually need to move an employee to another team? I have no other options, and they don't want to do it. Of course, you can do whatever you want within the bounds of the rules and the law. The point I'm trying to make is that without getting someone's buy-in, it's probably not going to go very well. Let's say we're going to move Jane from your team to another team, Team B, let's call it. If you say, hey, Jane, we need you over here. So starting Monday, you're going to work on Team B. Now, you might have a picture of Jane in your mind that is someone who is extremely capable, and you're very excited to put Jane on Team B because you know that she's going to turn everything around. But think about it for a second. You didn't give Jane a reason why. You didn't ask if she wanted to. So even though Jane might be completely willing and actually even looking forward to doing something like that, it could be pretty off-putting to just be moved around like a piece of furniture. And you might not end up getting Jane's best. Jane might end up suffering on Team B because she's feeling kind of confused. Maybe she thinks she's getting a demotion. Now, contrast that with a discussion that would go like this. Jane, we're kind of in a tough spot, and I'm wondering if you could help. Team B is really suffering, and I talked with a few of my peers, and we think someone of your skill set could really help that team turn things around. I know this might not feel like a great move for you, but it would really be doing us a huge favor. Would you be open to talking about helping that team out for a short time? Now, even if Jane is not looking forward to this, just phrasing it in that way and providing that background that, hey, you're actually really doing us a favor, is going to make Jane much more likely to be flattered. Oh, wow, the company really needs me and they see my skill set and they think I could go help a struggling team. It's great to be seen, I could imagine Jane thinking. So hopefully you can see the difference there. It's not that you need to get anyone's approval to do anything, but just to put it bluntly, treating people like people and not resources to be assigned can really go a long way. And in my experience, every time I've asked someone to do a favor for me or the company, or especially the team, the broader team, they've always said yes, even if it was something they weren't really looking forward to doing. And I know this because people will tell me, you know what, isn't really what I want to do, but if the team needs me to do that for a time, I'll do it. But can we put some timeline on this so I don't do it forever? Something like that. So I hope all that helped, and please drop any questions, comments, or your own experience down below. Thanks.